Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan, I am Just One Reader, and I am here with another recent reads capsule episode thing. So these are going to be recent reads numbers 52 through 56, I think. Can I count? Can I do math? Yes, I can. Okay, so firstly, book number 52 that I read, I cannot show you physically because I read it on my Kindle, but that was Brewster's Millions by George Barr McCutcheon. And we read this as a buddy read commanded by Steve Donahue, and it was a very fun experience to do it as a body read. I don't think it's a book that I would have otherwise enjoyed, really, if it hadn't been for the body read. I just wouldn't have gotten anything really fun out of it. I didn't particularly love the book. I sort of liked it, particularly at the beginning, because the premise is that our young protagonist is very young. He's in his 20s, and he receives an incredibly generous, just a huge, a ginormous amount of money as part of an inheritance from an old relative. But there are a lot of conditions and requirements and ridiculous things, restrictions that he has to do, and things that he has to follow in order to get the $7 million, which back in the day was like a shitload of money. It still is, but it would have been even more. So the book kind of follows the wacky things that he has to do in order to receive the money in the end. But it just kind of lost me. I thought it was way too long, and I didn't really care for the writing or the characterization or anything. But it was kind of charming, at least in terms of the premise. It's not a book that I would recommend, but I gave it a solid 3 stars, I think. And I think I gave it such a generous rating because of the body read, because the body read was a great experience. So yeah, that was a very good reading experience. The next book that I finished was absolutely wonderful, Stoner by John Williams. This is a very quiet, subtle, but absolutely magnificent book. Basically, it's the story of a man's life, which in and of itself, that's something that I really love. I really love books that tell you the complete story of a life, of a person's life from beginning to end. And that's what it is. We know right away everything that's going to happen, but it is such a treat, such a delight, and such a journey to follow this man, Stoner. What's his first name? William Stoner. So basically, this is a story about characters. It's a story about, it's a discussion on love and life and work and happiness, and where do you find happiness, and what is the true value of love and work. And I just loved it. I loved it to death. I made a separate review for it. I thought it's incredibly relevant today and just wonderful. And the writing style in particular is a writing style that I appreciate more and more every day. It's just wonderful. Really wonderful. 5 stars, absolutely. The next book that I read was very different. Sarah Waters' The Little Stranger. So I read this because I hear that the movie adaptation is coming out in Mexico this year, and I don't know when it's going to be released. It hasn't yet, but I am planning on watching it. Certainly, I am eagerly anticipating it. So The Little Stranger is another book that I have posted a separate review on. And back when I read it, when I finished it, I thought it was just okay. I thought it was very good, but that's it. And the more and more I think about it, and the more I go back to my original impression of the book, the more I appreciated it, and the more I can see, it's a book that sort of demands that you take it seriously and that you think about it and that you really not only think about it but think back on it once you have finished it. So I really liked it. I think I will give it 4 stars in the end because it is really, really well written. Sarah Waters just has an amazing writing style. She is a master of atmosphere and of suspense and of making you slightly disturbed. It's kind of disturbing and unnerving, and it's kind of creepy, not in a blah kind of way. This is more subtle and quiet, but better in my opinion. I just really liked it. The next book that I read was quite a controversial pick. Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. I have made a slightly irreverent and slightly rude video talking about this book and how the book is okay. It's nothing really special. It's nothing super great or super inventive or anything. It's an okay book, but I thought it was just undeniably well, I don't want to say that it is flat out just a Harry Potter copy, a Harry Potter ripoff, but the more I think about it, the more I see it that way. So I don't know. Maybe I just want to be politically correct, or maybe I'm just afraid of saying something rude or something that could sound aggressive. But yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I did think that the book had its charm and its humor and a semi interesting premise, but yeah, it was just a Harry Potter ripoff. Who am I kidding? It really was. It was Harry Potter influenced fiction that didn't really feel like a solid enough book, like by itself. And like I say, it has its things, it has its positive characteristics, it is delightful sometimes, it is charming, it is humorous. However, there comes a point in the book where you can just no longer not see how much of a Harry Potter ripoff it is, and it's undeniable. It's so evident that it's following Harry Potter incredibly closely. So I liked it moderately at first, but then it just became ugh, come on. So I gave it 2 stars. Don't read it. It's not really worth it. And finally, the last book that I want to mention here quickly is the book that I finished reading today, and that is The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald. I read this because there's a movie coming out, an adaptation of this coming out. I think it came out today, so I might go and watch it tomorrow. So this is a book that on paper, how can I say this? It's a book that on paper I should really love. It is the story of a small British country town and the people who live there, and they are quirky, whimsical, weird, colorful characters. It's very quaint, and we follow this woman, Florence, and she decides to put a bookshop in this town, to open a bookshop. And it turns out that people are not really very much into the bookshop. And some people are, some people aren't. And it's pretty much that. It's a story about the bookshop opening in this town. Sounds delightful. Guess what? I thought this book was so boring and so dull, and it's not completely bad. It's not completely boring. There were moments in here that I thought were brilliant, actually, and of great literary value and thematically rich. There are some sentences in this book, some fragments from this book that I could tattoo on my body. They are beautiful and they are heavy and relevant and poetic and rich. But the story itself, that really lost me. It was just boring and I felt like bored. However, I am conflicted, I am ambivalent about it because it's a book that I did not enjoy reading. However, I do like thinking about it because, like I say, I think about these themes and the way that the author addresses certain issues, and I think it's just beautiful and brilliant. So I really love that part of the book, and that's why I am giving this book 3 stars instead of less than 3 stars, because even though I really did not like the ride, I did not enjoy the ride, I thought there's some little gems of knowledge and of wisdom in there. So that's a weird experience that I had reading this book. So there you go. Those are recent reads numbers 52 through 56 that I have read so far this year. Thanks for watching, and please leave your comments down below so we can have a conversation about these books. Thanks for watching. I am Just One Reader.